Shalom Aleichem
Okay.
Zev, how are you?
Leichem Shalom. It's been a while. So,
It's on your holy mind?
all right. So here's I'm gonna try to be Masada. We had a lot of back and forth some time about some different topics, but I think I wanted to start this conversation along the lines of what is Judaism? Like what is Yadus? We did like what is Hashem, but what is Judaism? It's not a religion. The word religion was created after whatever it is we're doing.
Chio, we did what is Hashem when? We didn't. We always avoided it, I think, as far as I remember.
Okay.
We spoke
Okay.
about Das Hashem, but we never said, well, what's Hashem?
Okay.
It just okay.
There's
I
no
think you
there's no
I think you
answer to
put
this.
no. Haha. Well, not for the
Why?
uncensored version, maybe. Okay. Okay. Or maybe I'm not brave enough, or maybe I haven't thought about what the right thing to do is about that
Uh,
question, about whether
But
it should be discussed
there's
publicly.
Sugyas Hashem, and then there's Sugyas Hashem. I don't think Judaism believes. I don't think we believe that Hashem is different for every single person. I think we believe that Hashem is Hashem, and
Okay.
just we as the Jewish people relate to him in a certain way.
Oh, you mean every person
And
has a
everyone
true and
else
untrue?
was, but it's a universal idea of God,
Okay.
whatever that
Mhm.
is, and knowledge of
Yeah,
God has to be spread. And there's that notion is objective and there
for sure.
and for everybody. Judaism, though, is something else, and
Mm.
Judaism is something. It's not,
Hmm.
well, I think, and what I'm saying now could be wrong, so please interrupt. But I think it's clear it's not a religion because it's not, because it predate. I don't know who came up with the word religion, but
Mm.
there's no word religion in the Torah. So it's not a religion. It's
Hmm.
probably closer to family. The simplest, what I came down to when I broke it all down is a Jew is somebody whose mother was Jewish
Hmm.
and didn't do something so crazy that l'chol deis he loses his status of Jew or roiv deis. So that I think is like a
No, but
safe
doesn't that
assumption of
beg the
what the Jew.
question? Because what makes her Jewish, right? That's the problem.
Oh, okay, but that's a different. Oh, well,
No,
what's if the
ultimately you
chicken?
have
No,
to.
what came first, the chicken or the egg? So when you answer that one, you answer this one.
Okay.
No, Hashem. Why Hashem made told Avram he's a Jew. Avram, let's say, was the first Jew, or it came. It was in some form or another developing until Maimed Har Sinai, and then after Maimed Har Sinai, something permanent started where
All
we
right. Well,
have
you have the
this
question then of
that
conversion, so
you have
right.
conversion. But is a family like I don't think a family is worse of a word than I think they're both horrible words, but family is not worse than the word religion.
Right. But why would God, universal God, be so busy with a family? Like, why is a family such an interesting? Why is it so central for God, who is
Right.
universal? It's got to be
Oh,
more
this
than that.
is this is nah yeah, but yeah, no. I mean, well, there's Kohanim, there's Shabbos. The days have its thing, and the Jews within themselves have its thing, and
Right.
there's just Gedarim, and there's a
Right.
structure, and the world has
Right.
a structure, and we're that. So
Okay.
why?
Right.
But that
Mhm.
but Tachlis, what we relate to as now. So what is it? What is Judaism, or what is religion in a way? Like you think so it's a system. I was thinking it's a structured way or a system of how people should live their lives, of how groups of people should live their lives. That's the ideal way for a human to be on this earth. And you have all the different systems. We are Jews. We believe that a certain system is the best way for humans to live.
Or for us. Wait, I mean, maybe it's for us. Why are you saying for humans?
Well, us as humans.
No, maybe us as maybe it's important that there be a subset of humans that does a certain thing. Why are you assuming it's important for all humans?
Because I have inside information that we actually believe that our what our structure is has permeates beyond us and it influences others
No,
as
but like you
well.
said, Hashem does, but that's who says Judaism does. Just because Das Hashem is universal doesn't mean Judaism is universal.
No, because Judaism, our tradition passes along like with every like major point of in our religion, we're told in Judaism we're reminded about our broader goal.
Right.
So that's you
Okay,
can't
no, but I mean
escape
to say
that
is
from the
what if you
beginning.
say that our family or our nation, whatever you want to call it, what if you say our focus is to promote, to advance a certain goal?
Yeah.
And the goal may be universal, but our role is to be the messengers who promote that goal. teach that goal. So those are two different things. We have a particular role.
Yeah, but I would say that all of that, I would look on top of that and say, this is my system. My system
Okay.
is that the Jews, my Jewish system of what Judaism is, it's the belief that the Jews have this role to play and they need to play that role in the broader context of humanity
Okay.
itself.
I
And
know, but
that is
right. I know,
that's
but maybe
included.
not to get too hung up on the words here, but there's a question here. The question would be, is that broader goal, is the objective to make everyone into a Jew?
Wait, can I say the full piece and then
Yeah,
Rebbe will drop what's bad, take out what's good, and lead the conversation from there?
sure. I don't
Okay,
know if I could do that, but I'll try.
this
That's
could
first
be
hearing you speak.
everything I could be saying could be wrong, but this is what my thought was. My thought was that there's a system that's the best way to live,
Hmm.
and that's what religions keep people in check. They keep humans in check. Without rules and guidelines and goals, and humans just fall apart or they don't develop as efficiently as they should. And religions create a structure with which humans can thrive, or so to speak. So we have our version of that, and that's Judaism. And our halachos are taking these ideas and these notions and putting them practically into the world. So the notion of, well, I was thinking this on Pesach, but there's so many universal themes that are so important to I'm able to engage with the concept of freedom on a deep level religiously. And secular people or people without an ideology don't have the ability to do this. But I
Hmm.
have the ability to do this because I'm a Jew. So freedom's an example. Um, um, Fighting up for the giving charity, justice, righteousness, a lot of big notions that we have. And so this is, and I thought that Judaism, wow, I think that we're the best at it because I
Hmm.
think that we've created such a successful system and our system produced so many scientists and world people that changed the world, et cetera, et cetera. It's
Hmm.
done a really, really good job.
Hmm.
And then I was thinking that, okay, and then by like engaging in the Torah and making the rabbis make halacha, make these rules, through every generation. Sometimes there are big changes, like making the Torah Shabbal Peh. Moshe made the Torah B'Shivach Sav. Don't take the words too literally, like it could all be Min Hashemayim. But in a way, Moshe made it into Torah B'Shivach Sav. Avram did what he did. The Ravina and Vashi codified the Torah Shabbal Peh in a way, and vice every generation, our Rabbanim or whoever our leaders are, they create now how we can put these most amazing notions into our practical lives. And there's something that's the key of what Judaism is. It's like we're all claiming to go back to Moshe Rabbeinu or back to like the original source. We all claim to be following this tradition, even though everything looks completely different. And the tradition is that this amazing flexible structure with which every generation can put the most necessary focus ideas that humans need to focus on to thrive, to put it into this system. And our system has been going for a really long time and doing a really good job at this. More or less, this is what I thought. And yeah, and with this comes a big responsibility in that every generation is the ability, we're creating the religion. Every generation creates their own religion. So we're creating our own Judaism. But these are some of the ideas I had. And I think they're related to some ideas that Rebbe brought up that one more or less wanted to discuss in some ways. So I don't know which, but that's how I thought about it.
So I
Rebbe's
think
saying
what
there's
you're
so many
saying is
mistakes. I don't even know where to
no.
start.
First of all, first of all, I think the whole idea that there might be mistakes here, I think that's your mistake. I think that's your only
We're all
mistake.
mistaken. Everything we say
Right.
will always be mistaken, right?
Right. So you're describing things that are so general that therefore there's obviously a lot of truth in what you're saying. And it's more like, can we notice something else? Are you missing
Is
something?
my
Something
approach too secular? Is it
right.
not
Is that
firm
I think that's
enough?
maybe an interesting right. That's a question. Like where does revelation come in here?
If someone
Um,
said my approach wasn't from, I would say that no, our system is so good that it's divine and it must be min hashemayim. That's what I would say.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. In other words, everything that you were describing, the whole system, including its flexibility itself, is what's
It's
revealed from that.
divine,
Right.
and
Okay.
there's no explanation other than Torah min hashamayim for how
Okay.
well it works. Yeah.
Right. And also, I'm curious about that. I'm curious also about how you define it's working well. That's another
Oh,
question. By the way, another thing I think, I mean, something we sort of get to in our conversations, if not explicitly, is that when we want to measure the success of Judaism, we're supposed to be measuring it by the future because we think the best is yet ahead of us. That's the whole, that's like a very central claim of Judaism, right? Do you agree with that?
I think anyone that's successful at anything has a mindset that the best is ahead of them.
Okay,
I
that's
think
excellent. So
that's
then that's great. So I guess then according to that, you would say that we have to measure success of Judaism by how much we have this mindset of the, of the best being yet ahead of us.
well, I think the measure would be how good are we at planting these ideas, the best notions and ideas in. So things I look at are like, wow, the mindset that it took for Einstein to discover relativity was only through generations and generations of this tradition of thinking in a certain way and looking at the world in a certain way, being critical in a certain way, taking like ideas certain to like a certain severity, and like that is the only thing that created Einstein. Like Einstein could have only come from such a tradition. And in every generation has their goyim, but every generation it's the Jews that are like the glue of those ideas, you know? Like the Aristotelian ideas that need to be held to today have been carried through the generations by the Jews. So that the right people need to pick up on them, we have them for them here. You know,
I
it's like
just don't know.
whatever
I
the
guess
ideas need to be.
yeah, I don't know my history well enough to know if that's true. That's all.
This is speculations.
I know
There's no
people will say it
claim
about
to any
everything. Let's
truth
say,
here.
yeah, well, you brought up freedom before, and I know people make the argument, and I'm just not enough of an expert in history to know whether this is correct. But people argue that the American ideals of freedom were very much a product of the Torah, of the Torah's focus on freedom.
It makes, I mean, yeah, you'd have to look at all the different traditions, all the different religions and see. But if it is true that we were the only really consistent group of people that were pushing the concept of freedom every year, once a year in a very serious way, then of
Right.
course we had even if it's implicit, right? Like we carried that through.
Hmm.
Even just Judeo-Christian values. I mean, Christianity, that's a different question is Christianity, is how we relate to Christianity, because according to the Rambam, that could be a form of Jewish ideas. That could be a form of Judaism in a way, in a
You wouldn't
way.
say Judaism. I don't think you would say that.
You would never use the word Judaism even about Judaism, but yeah,
Okay. You mean because he wasn't familiar with that word, or because he wouldn't call
yeah,
it Judaism?
because the word doesn't
Fine.
exist. He
Yeah.
refers to Yeshua Hanoitzri. What is he uses the word, he calls him by name. They didn't even have like
Right. Uh-huh.
I think
Hmm.
we have to take a pause.
Okay, let's do that. Okay, so Zev, I wonder also, why are we focusing on defining something? Um, what's the point of that? Like, I'm very interested in goals. Like, what do you want? What do I want? I like to articulate
Is
what I
this a question
want,
on definitions in general?
sort of, but yes, sort of. But I
Unfortunately,
think,
we're stuck with the thing called language, no?
I don't know, because like what I'm trying to say is like this. Let's say you would have asked me a different question, like this. This question I would have appreciated more, and I think would be more interesting for me personally. What was Avram's goal? What was his vision? What did he want? What was Moshe's goal? What was Yeshaya's goal? What was Malachi's goal? And then the next question would be, how much is that goal shared by individuals today? How much is it part of the collective consciousness of our people, defined very loosely when our people? Those would be very interesting questions to me. And I think, and
Okay.
the reason why they would be
Wait, that,
interesting
but
is
that's
because,
it. That's, I want the same, that's what I want.
oh, okay.
That's all I want. Yeah.
Right. But I think that's interesting to reframe
I
it. And
just think that's easier to say it like that. Like, what does it mean to be a Jew? Like,
mm,
what is Judaism? What's the goal? What's the project here that we've been doing? Yeah.
yeah, but it's a subtle shift there because when you ask what something is, that's a question about something static. Because it's something that's already been defined. Like let's say you ask, what are the boundaries of Eretz Yisrael, right? So that's you want something that's measurable. But when you ask what a goal is, it's essentially it relates to my point I said earlier, which is that our the best is yet to come, and a goal is always future oriented. I think if Judaism accomplishes its purpose, then then it ceases to exist. I think Judaism is as a project, unlike let's say a piece of land, which is defined by something static and not defined by
Why
a
does it have
pursuit.
to have a, why does it end? Why does it have to end?
Because anything
The way
which
I
is
see it, it never ends.
okay, because maybe the goal never ends. I think maybe the goal is infinite, but if it's not defined by a goal,
Because I don't see the goal as something in the future. I see the goal as something in the present.
a goal is always in the future.
I don't see it like that. The way I explained it before, it doesn't see it like that.
Yes, it is. Why do I? Let's take freedom. I love freedom because it was just Pesach and it was a good example. Okay, freedom is so central to the Torah. And obviously, it's Yis Mitzrayim. It's about freedom. Like reveals himself to us in the context of freeing us from slavery. And as we mentioned, the idea of freedom was tremendously central, inspiring to certain countries, most notably perhaps America, and that shouldn't be taken for granted. The Torah centers it in our consciousness and therefore in the consciousness of humanity. And we, the Jews, can perhaps arguably take credit for the spread of freedom that we're seeing more of
Yeah.
now. Okay, great, amazing. And you said that correctly. I think that the Torah is a system to preserve central important ideas. A major mechanism whereby the Torah preserves ideas is through mitzvahs, through actions that are symbolic of or point to the importance of certain ideas. So if you don't eat a piece of the lamb, if you don't eat a piece of meat on the 14th of Nisan, 15th of Nisan, whatever, you get kares because it's like really important that you eat that piece of lamb because otherwise humanity's going to forget about
You
freedom
have to be
and
religious about it.
right, very good, exactly. No, and I like what you said. Also, you said like it's only because you're religious about it that it actually achieves that kind of centrality in thought. And this is something I think about a lot. I think you mentioned you got this idea really from me in a certain way, or maybe inspired by me by my thought that the nature of religion and mitzvahs specifically, with their insistence on exactness and their inflexibility, like you must eat the matzah, you must eat the Pesach lamb, and like you can't get it wrong. That points to directs us psychically, mentally, to the idea that there are some really important ideas that we must never lose sight of. Contrast that with people who believe in certain ideas but don't have these kinds of anchors in practice. You end up not really having those ideas centered and guiding you in the same unyielding, exacting way, right? I think is that the thinking?
Yeah, like on a broad scale, right? A lot of people made this point, but I don't think everyone needs religion. Most people need religion. So there are some people that probably were able to do without
I think so too. Yeah.
and can do without,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
humanity needs a group of people to keep it going,
Right.
a critical mass of, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Um, you could even say like those individuals who don't need it, and I think I agree with you. There probably are individuals that don't. Um, the only way that their force, the force of their personalities, let's say, of their character, which is so infused with these ideals of the good that they don't even need religious practice. Okay, the only way that their characters will have the impact on humanity is if humanity is religious about them. Like everything has to ultimately be made
Oh,
into into something
Oh,
that's like stripped of its contingency and made into an absolute in order for it to have force.
beautiful. Beautiful. Like, yeah, and they also they're still inspired by people that were religious about it.
Right,
Their
for
ideas
sure.
are building off those. And then when like someone like Aryeh Kaplan comes along and says, "I need to be religious about Einstein's theory," he's
Hmm.
now is like be religious about it, you
No,
know?
did he say that? Did he say something like that?
Yeah, like I mean, he thinks that the that you need to that Ma'aser Bereshis is that you need it's learning Torah. Learning Torah is the most up-to-date modern science. So to him, the
So you're saying he's
explanation of
taking
how these things
Einstein now.
came,
So he's taking Einstein, he's taking the advances, and he's now enriching the Torah itself through them, and therefore becoming
yeah, I mean
religious about it.
Even Rebbe like or anybody that prescribes to like what the Rambam says about understanding certain things in Chachma are
Hmm.
is religious about their studying math. You know, I'm
Yeah, that's
learning about
amazing.
Shem's world now. This is
Right,
it's a religious thing.
right. No, I never thought of it that way. That's really interesting. No,
Like
that's what's new to
religious
me.
Zionism.
What?
Religious Zionism was a little easier, but yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
No, I never
They're
thought about it.
religious
This is
about these
fascinating. So
things.
you're saying like the religious impulse then has to be applied to whatever's important, whether it's about knowledge or political systems, like you're saying, maybe religious Zionism. So it has to be made religious in order to have staying power.
Can Rebbe imagine like I don't know the numbers of like completely secular people that have like that learn Aristotle today
Right.
versus religious people that learn Aristotle. Like okay, even like going through the medieval period,
Uh,
right? Without people being religious about philosophical ideas, it wouldn't exist. They
that's
don't
interesting.
take these books seriously. Like who that didn't study philosophy in a university has philosophy books in their house, like the like religious Jews that are dealing with these questions. Like who?
Uh,
No?
See right there? I don't know. I'm trying to point to the screen, but it's not showing up on the screen because of whatever. I was trying to, oh, I'll do it with this little hand, right? It's my philosophy section there. It's a little small. Have some back here now.
Well, I can't even see anything.
All right. Anyways, it's okay. It's not important. But no, it's interesting. You're saying like books, religious, like philosophy. It just got me thinking about my bookshelf because you're talking about philosophy books as being treated sort
Yeah.
of like religious books, right? It's like a book. It's a
Oh,
mitzvah.
yeah, I couldn't. It's not my place to call, but I know some books in the room. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but the
Yeah.
idea, I think we once even spoke about this. I don't know if it was publicly about like the fact that we take something and put it into a book and we treat it as holy. Um, it's basically what you're saying. It's like we take an idea and we say, let's consecrate this beyond it being something true. Let's make it into something special and well
Hmm.
defined. Because I like what you're saying, because that will help us go back to it. It will draw
That's
us
the whole
back to it
point. That's the whole point of our religion to do that. To find the
to force
goodies,
us to confront these ideas that we might otherwise forget.
find the good ideas in your generation and throw them into mitzvahs
Okay, so
somehow.
now right, so
Yeah.
now you get back to you're getting back to a point you made earlier about the flexibility and the fact that good ideas can be incorporated into the mitzvahs, right? You're going back to that point. I just want to point out that's a different idea. In other words, we can talk about Torah as being reflective of or concretizing the most important ideas, such as freedom, justice, righteousness, etc. Um, and that's one way to talk about it. We could talk about it as being reflective of eternal, unchanging good ideas. And now you're raising another point, which is that there's always going to be development in what we consider important. And the Torah is designed so that the new ideas can also be brought into it, have mitzvahs that reflect them, or perhaps be incorporated into Talmud Torah, the way you were saying
Yeah,
with
it sounds
Aryeh
so
Kaplan.
from now. Like what Rebbe's claiming that I'm saying about the Torah is so divine and special that it's like
Why not?
that.
What's the big deal? Look,
What do you
I
mean?
I think my show is pretty cool. I don't know how he did this Tyra. It's pretty amazing. What do you mean? It is divine.
No,
I don't.
I know, but I'm saying like it could sound like, oh, it's what, it's just a system to keep some laws in. Like, wow, it's magical.
Yeah.
It's doing multiple things. it's doing the a divine job
Yeah, exactly. I
at
mean,
keeping the notions here. Yeah.
yeah, I think the idea is something like, um, let's talk about Moshe, let's say, or in general, prophets. Those might be two different things, very different things. But a prophet or Moshe can know, be divinely inspired to tap into a kind of structure, a deep structure of reality that is enduring, not by virtue of always referring to the exact same thing, but by referring to something so fundamentally, intrinsic to reality, that all good that develops will be able to be reflected in the structure. So
The
it's
ability.
the ultimate in divine inspiration, and it's sort of
Yeah.
how I understand the role of prophets, which is that they can extend and develop the grammar, the mechanics of the Torah, and apply it or extend it into new situations. So is that something new or is that something old? It's both. It's tapping into a fundamental grammar of reality defined by Moshe or Avram or whatever you want, and then taking it further, applying it to new circumstances.
Now, don't we all do that? Like even
Yes, that's
beyond
why
the
we're all
Nevi'im,
false prophets.
we're doing that even today.
Yeah, that's why we're all false prophets, by the way, or true prophets, one or the other. No, I think it's very interesting. Chazal are very insistent that you can't have any more than 24 books. Like you're not allowed to have more than. You can't just write books. Writing books is a very fraught endeavor. And the reason for that is because there's no difference. They have this idea. The pasuk says in Keheles, says from Harbe and Kates, you can't make books as much as you want. You got to be careful. And Chazal go on this idea, go on this thing. They do that elsewhere in the Midrashim as well. That you're not allowed to have more than 24 books. Anyone that writes any more than Tanakh is doing a big avla. And even writing down the Mishnah was problematic. You have to have the oral law. But that's because a book is supposed to present the word of Hashem. This idea of a book that's not the word of Hashem, like, so why are you writing it? So either if you're writing a book, you're a prophet. Well, if you're a true prophet, then fine. But if you're not, then don't write a book. I'm just saying that it struck me the other day that essentially what Chazal are saying is like as what you just said, that we're doing prophecy or we're claiming to do prophecy. Those are the two choices. Or else you're just not an interesting person,
Hey,
basically.
why? Maybe why? Maybe I'm not doing prophecy.
So you're just not. I gave you three options. I said, well, then
Yeah.
you're not an interesting person. Then then you're just not plugged into the to what's eternal.
But there's not the different levels. Like, so I would say like Moshe was tapped in. He understood the pulse of the universe so well that he was able to write this book um that would give everybody else the tools that they need.
Hmm.
And the prophets also that would give the prophets the tools that they need to do what they got to do.
Right.
And the prophets writing had enough prophecy to write down and give the next generation the tools that it needs to do what it got to do.
Hmm.
But at some point, it goes lower and lower. Like, why? I don't need that much. Like, all I need to do is, oh, there's a good idea. I'm a Jew. I have a Jewish tradition, Jewish blood, and I sense that, oh, that's like a really beautiful tradition. I was traveling in India, and the way that they breathe there really calms you down to give you kavanah to daven nice. That I need to pull that in to my family and my tradition. So I need to add that in over here
Hmm.
because that's going to really help us. That's really good. I have that Jewish my
Hmm.
spark, my Jewish spark tells me that. So yeah, so now I'm
Right.
doing that, but I'm not a prophet. I'm
Hmm.
just I just now I have this structure that I can do things that someone else gave me, but it's not. It doesn't have to be I'm a prophet, right?
Mm.
No.
Um, so what was I saying? No, but
It's
I was
also not
saying
always universal. The prophets were universal, but
that's
then
what I was
after
going
the
to say.
Jews split
Correct.
around the world, so just because the Ashkenazim felt that one way was the right way to go, and the Sephardim had another way.
That's what I was going to say. That writing it in a book was supposed to reflect the fact that you're tapping into something that's universal. Like once it gets too particular, like okay, maybe for you at this point in time, it's a good idea to breathe before you dive in. Okay, but are you ready to put that in a book? Because putting it in a book was supposed to mean once upon a time that it's something that
Ah.
talks to everyone in some way, and everyone and like it
Yeah,
becomes too
but
narrow.
so this is where you could read between the lines, right? Like what the Rambam said, right? So someone had this idea like, oh, we need a new Myra. I don't know. We need a new
Okay.
Myra because the Myra is not. But then someone said we need a new Myra Nevuchim because Myra Nevuchim was trying to like put certain laws and make sense of the world according to the way that they understood it back then, and now we
Okay.
see understand it differently. And then this other guy said. No, we don't need the Myra. We don't need a new Myra. The Myra showed us how to relate to ideas in your modern day. So just like he did it to his, copy that mechanism that he did.
Hmm.
So maybe it's not the breathing. You don't need to breathe like I breathed, but like, no, you should see what I was trying to do, you know? What I sensed a certain idea that struck what kind of chord in me that made me write something along the lines of what, you know? Like there's something you can, you know?
Right. So you're saying if you're tapped into that which is eternal,
It is
then
eternal. It's
Mhm.
eternal that if you are find yourself in a situation like the Ramah found himself, you should write like the Ramah wrote, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
you can learn from that universally.
Mm.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
It's too much.
No,
It's
may be
good.
true. It may be true, but then I think someone who's doing that well is basically a prophet, more or less. I don't know. I don't
Okay.
know if you
Why
could
do we
really
have an
be.
end? Why is Rabbi saying we have an end?
Mm.
So I don't understand why is this game end? It sounds like a great game and we should
No, no, no.
continue
Wait, okay,
forever.
good. When I say end, I don't mean end that we actually ever reach. I don't think we ever reach it. But I mean an end as in a goal, like something that we're trying to do. Trying to do doesn't mean something that we expect to ever finish. Let's say a
And
person
that
says,
goal is, and we didn't say that goal yet. I mean, the goal is not to protect the notions that need protecting.
so that
Or
we can live by them tomorrow. No, no, no. But I'm saying everything that's also fine. But it's also we're doing something for tomorrow. Anything you do is for right now. You're you, right? You exist. Anything you do is
right,
for the future. But a lot of times you talk about definition, we're talking about the present. And I think
right.
Judaism is something focused on the future. Like if a person's like, I'm going to make money, I'm going to work. Why? Because I want to make money. Why? Because I want to live. Oh, so you have a goal and have an end. Doesn't mean I'm never going to
Right.
reach it because I'm going to make some money. I'm going to want more money. Okay, fine. My desire for money is endless. It's no problem. Maybe.
Yeah, but a goal does not necessarily mean the future. Goal could be in the
It does.
present.
No,
Why?
it could
Goal could
always
be
be
in
in
the
the future.
present.
No, I'm trying to accomplish something.
Uh-huh. Okay,
It's a
why does
project.
Rebbe spoke about prophecy in the past as if they're living in the present. They're the most present people.
I think they're the most right. I think they're the most tuned into the nature of reality. Okay. Now you're talking about
Right.
prophecy. The state of being in prophecy, the state of being a prophet is someone who's most tuned into the nature of reality. But the nature of reality includes the fact that God makes humans to have goals.
So what's
That's
the goal?
that's the question. So what was Avram's goal? We can say
Well,
Das Hashem.
I was good. What was good? I don't know. I think the humanity to reach its potential to do as
Maskim.
the best it can. There's no
Maskim. So
goal on that. There's no
agreed.
end to that.
No end to that. We could call that Das Hashem. I think it's a good word to use. The humanity should achieve Das Hashem.
Okay.
Meaning that humanity should be plugged into its reality, what it is, which is depends on understanding the reality of all the being, and live in accordance with that.
And
Would you give that
what's this
concise
group of people
definition?
called the Jews?
What's that?
What's this group of people called the Jews?
We just said that. We just said that. It's the people who dedicated themselves to furthering this goal. So you could have a people that dedicated themselves to furthering, let's say, material wealth or health
Hmm.
or any various specific subsets of goals. And Jewish people dedicated themselves to this goal, this ambitious goal, maybe perhaps too ambitious, some say, of bringing humanity to its fundamental and deepest perfection,
Hmm.
in line with the truest understanding of reality, the truest and best understanding of reality.
Hmm.
They call that Das Hashem.
Hmm. And every generation needs a different connector to that reality.
Probably, I would think so.
Hmm. But who tells us? Who's our secret? Who's the secret? Who tells
Mm.
us? Who
What?
tells us how?
How? I know. See, there's also something interesting. So we have a very strong conservative bent within Judaism, right? We don't want to change things.
Some.
Uh, well, no, but there's a good reason for that. I'm saying in general, that exists within Judaism, and there's a good reason
Right.
for that because if we don't know the answer to how to change or how to what we should focus on, then we're best the best thing we can do is preserve
What does the Rebbe
because we
mean
might break
preserve?
something.
Like, I mean, in Eretz Yisrael, it's not clear. I wouldn't even say that that's true.
What's not
In
clear?
Eretz Yisrael.
What's
I
not
think
clear?
there's a very, very clear picture amongst a big portion of the country, more maybe even more of a majority of like a new and evolved Jew.
Mm,
Um,
right.
and that's even if it's like not explicit in the Haredi circles, their Musar Shmuzin are trying to eradicate that. Like that's what everyone's. It's still, even if you're not fully there, that's their Yetzer Hara.
The Yitzhar is what? Is it conservatism?
I'm saying the secular are for sure like this, and
Mm.
even the Haredim, half of them, like half of each person is like this. It's their Yetzer Hara, like when a Yeshiva Bacher in New York has like a Yetzer Hara for New York type things, the Yetzer Hara of Yeshiva Bacher, Haredi Yeshiva Bacher, his Yetzer Hara is telling him this. It's like strong pulling him.
Yeah. We
It's
have to solve
strong
this problem.
sentiment here that there's like a new Jew, and this is like attractive to people.
Wow.
Right. Yeah.
It's a real problem that it's Yitzhar because the question is there any way to make it into Yitzhar Tov, I guess? Does it
What?
have to
Maybe
be Yitzhar?
people are Yetzirah sometimes gets more attention. It's not so bad. Maybe it's Maim Genuvim. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I thought we had this on our last discussion. I was saying that we used to have to preserve, but now we are don't need to preserve anymore. And the Haredim need to get with the program, and they need to speed up and catch up and secularize, integrate. That was an idea. I wasn't saying this seriously. And Rebbe was pushing back against that. And then since then, off camera, I came around
Mm,
because I heard the way that Rebbe talks about that community relate is able to relate to an idea
mm,
with such intensity,
mm.
and I liked that.
Yeah. So
But
I
I
want to
wonder
tell
if there's like a place for that in the new Jew too. I don't know.
no, so that's very interesting. Right. So I think that's very interesting the way you're framing it, and the way I would think about it is that maybe there's something very interesting that should be and can be done. Some major improvement that would be do something for the new Jew and for the old Jew. Um, and I think it revolves around what you were just pointing to, which is that the new Jew can learn the power, the potency of those unchanging forms of old Judaism, like the mitzvahs.
All right.
And the old Jews could learn the power of the evolution of ideas. So maybe they each have to learn about one has to learn about something that can change and not threaten the things that don't change, and the new Jew has to learn about the
Okay.
power of the things that don't
Remember saying
change,
we have to be religious about it for it to work before?
basically.
Yeah.
And wait, what I'm saying
No.
is, I mean, you led me to
Yeah.
this that if the new Jew would be recognized that they have to be religious about the quote unquote new Judaism, then the old Jew would say, hey, okay, great, let's embrace the new Judaism because we actually have this is what the old Judaism was talking to, or now should be talking to, and there's no how I'm saying that each. In other words, let's try to distill this and keep it simple. I mean, what I'm putting out here as a theory, and I want to just state that this is all a very novel theory to me, and there's an interesting way to look at it. Is that um, because the traditionalists, the conservatives, don't realize that the unchanging Judaism, the unchanging Judaism, is the most important anchor for good change. It's because of that they're not willing to change. And it's because of that that the new Jew is not interested in the
But Rebbe is
unchanging.
also saying that if they did understand that, they would change.
Well, I'm saying is like this, that what's unchanging about Judaism is, let's say, the mitzvahs. Let's call it the mitzvahs. The ideas that the mitzvahs are anchoring can change and develop. And if you know that side, that there's a room for change and a room for unchangingness, and the more you keep
Ah.
the mitzvahs set, the more the change you'll be able to change in a
You're
healthy
saying they'll
way.
change in the right way.
They'll change in the right way, and they'll be
And
able
then
to change.
everybody, and then the others won't have a reason to be others. They'll
On the
stay.
contrary, they'll be excited about
Uh-huh.
what the traditionalists offer because they're giving them the tools in which to ground all good change.
Okay, I have to ask Rebbe this question because I had this thought recently and it just doubled down. I was leaving the Kotel Saturday night, and I saw that a soldier type of kid, two kids, probably around 19. One of them was Dati Lumi, who went over to Haredi guy, and he just picked him on him for a second, like just a conversation, like a little fight, it was great. It was like a 3 minute heated discussion, and then they continued walking. And I really was like, wow, like what a nation of people, or two 18-year-olds like have an ideological discussion, just passing each other. Everyone's saying, oh, the Haredim are saying that everyone needs to be like this, and they're saying everyone's like this. Why can't we just have a peace and everyone get along? And I was like, I would hate that. Like it's such a it's such an integral part of what it means to be a Jew, and like is to really like be able to have these like real intense fights, not
What does
physical,
this have to do with
not
what we're saying
condoning
now?
violence. What?
What does this have to do with what we're saying now?
It has to do like this. I don't like, I think that are we better off having like what Rebbe said, where the Haredim realize that they change,
Mm,
that they don't need to change the mitzvahs, and then they can change this, and then everyone could be like, I don't know. I think like it's I see an appeal to also having it that the Haredim don't change and they have that, and the other people change, and they keep that fight,
right,
and that fight keeps
right.
everybody sharp. It keeps
Yeah,
everybody needing to defend themselves and needing
yeah,
to upgrade their opinions, and
yeah,
like
for sure. No, I mean, you're pointing to a political theory of, I forgot what it's called, but basically where it's very, it's a necessary part of development and growth that there are people antagonistic to each other, or at least ideas that are antagonism with each other.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
100%. Otherwise,
we're so
we'll get
good at it.
complacent.
We're so good at it.
Okay, I don't know. I think we could do a lot better though. I mean, we're good at that part
What?
of it.
At
Yeah, no,
what?
we're good
What
at
can
the
we do
fighting.
better? At what?
Oh, come on. I mean, what we could do
Come
better
on.
is the following, is that both camps can be doing a lot more in their intense focus on the good. Okay. I think you would agree with that. That the
That's
camp
always
that's
true about anyone.
fine, but I think we're pointing to a very specific place that we can fix, we can enhance that, which is that the ones who are focused on the forms of the mitzvahs can benefit by learning that they stand for something that has application today in a modern form, and the people that
Yeah.
are focused on today in its modern form can gain by recognizing that the mitzvahs are there to supercharge your focus on the good.
Hmm. Hmm.
Let me tell you a little bit about Ben Zayman or Bakiva that's been on my mind, and I think it's very relevant to this. Okay, so I'll overpace. I've been thinking a lot about this. We say it in the Haggadah that according to Ben Zayma, you say it's Yis Mitzrayim at night. Why? Because the pasuk says Laman Tizkor Yom Tzayim Kol Yemei Chayecha. The kol is to include that you say it at night as well. And the Chum say no. Kol. The reason why the Torah says you have to remember Yis Mitzrayim all the days of your life. Why does it say that word all? Because it's saying they have to remember it even when Mashiach comes. And the Gemara says Ben Zoma said the Chumim. You have to remember Mashiach when you have to mention the Yitzia from the time when Mashiach comes. The pasuk says that the day will come. It will no longer be said. Uh, Swear by Hashem who took the Jews out of Mitzrayim, but rather it will be said, swear by Hashem who took the Jews out of all the lands to which he dispersed them. In other words, there's going to be a greater redemption in the future, and no one's going to talk about Mitzrayim anymore. And they'll come and say, no, we still will talk about Mitzrayim. It's just that we'll also talk about the greater redemption. So basically, Benzoma holds a very reasonable theory, which is that Yitzhak's time at a certain point in time in Jewish history is going to become obsolete. It's going to become a stale idea. I think we've reached that point. In a historical sense, Yitzhak's time has become irrelevant. In other words, it's ran its course. We left Mitzrayim, we went to Eretz Yisrael. We were exiled from Eretz Yisrael. Okay, we came back, but that's a new return. Now, of course, it's rooted in the past, but everything's rooted in some distant past. So you see Mitzrayim as being the defining feature of like what our life is all about, as a practical, historical, lived reality. That's run its course. So therefore, says Benzoma, when Mashiach comes, it's going to be time for new mitzvahs, basically, or we're not going to mention Tzitz Mitzrayim, but it's going to be a new mitzvah of mentioning Yitzias Galus, let's say.
Wait,
Okay,
Rebbe,
that's
may just
very seems
clarify
very
that.
reasonable.
That Rebbe's saying because the Gemara is explicitly only talking about the mitzvah of Zechiras Yitzias Mitzrayim, but Rebbe's kind of like dragging that onto the mitzvahs that all the mitzvahs that are Zecher Yitzias Mitzrayim.
Yes, I don't know. I'm not sure about that actually. Right,
Well, naturally,
arguably,
Rebbe went there.
yeah. I mean, look, arguably, right. Arguably, if Benzoma's point, which is that Yitzhak Mitzrayim is no longer something we care about, and we're not trying to remember, then you would think that therefore we don't put on tefillin, we don't have pidyon haben, we don't do Pesach, matzah, and tens of other mitzvahs that are rooted in Yitzhak Mitzrayim. But perhaps it's only about the specifics of mentioning Mitzrayim, because that's what's only explicit. The only thing that's explicit in the Gemara is mentioning. I'm arguing that, I mean, I'm understanding that it would seem that that should apply to mitzvahs in general. But that's not so important for my point. That's
Okay.
not so important. My point is, I want to try to understand the Chachamim. In other words, and I have a question. We could frame it as a question on the Torah. Clearly, the Torah says to remember Yitzias Mitzrayim because it was like our experience. If the Torah would be given today, let's say, it probably wouldn't make such a fuss about Yitzias Mitzrayim. It was given to the generation that left Mitzrayim. So it had particular resonance and meaning because those people lived it. And okay, that can be preserved, maybe a couple hundred years, maybe even 1,000 years, maybe as long as the conditions that resulted from leaving Mitzrayim held, which is that we were living in the land of Israel, to which we came directly from Egypt. Okay, but at a certain point in history, that becomes obsolete. So I have a question on this format. How could we, on the one hand, say the Torah never changes, like the Rambam insists in the end of Hilchos Malachim, Mashiach's going to come, Torah is going to stay the same, and we hold like the Chachamim that you will say Yitzias Mitzrayim in the days of Mashiach, because nothing about the Torah is going to change. But why would the Torah be given a certain point in history to that certain point in history, designed for that point in history, and yet it's an eternal Torah? Which one is it? If it's an eternal Torah, then why didn't the Torah give us a mitzvah that doesn't speak to a point in time of 1300 BCE? Why are all the mitzvahs so connected to that point in time if they're eternal? Okay, that was my question. Ready for my answer?
Wait. No, not at all. Um, the question is, like broadly speaking, the question is why are the mitzvahs rooted in historical events?
If they're eternal. If they're eternal. If they're meant to be eternal.
If the mitzvahs are meant to be internal.
Mm-hmm.
And Rebbe is just dragging this to other mitzvahs.
Well, I think no, I think
From
it's right.
because Zechiras Yitzias Mitzrayim is like different.
Matzah Pesach,
Yeah.
any mitzvah that relates to Yitzhak Mitzrayim, Sukkah, sitting in the Sukkah, Shavuos,
Right, but
Torah,
the drasha is not like very specifically about the mitzvah of Zechira.
may or may not be, but that's why I said I'll leave Ben Zayim aside. It just sparked this question. That I don't really care what Ben Zayim's opinion
And
is.
Rebbe's not bothered that they say it's going to be Iker and Tafel. Like that doesn't bother either.
Well,
So what's exactly the Nakuda that's bothering?
so right. So I'm not focusing so much on the Chama and Mizoma. I'm asking. They just really sparked a more general question on the Torah, which is how could we on the one end say the Torah is eternal, on the
Okay.
other end, undeniably the Torah was designed for a particular time and people and
Yeah,
experience.
so like what I said about the Rambam Nevuchim, the Menu Nevuchim, so like it's true
Ah,
also.
very good. Right. No, so I think that's the answers, and that's exactly what I'm getting at. That's why I'm bringing this up. That I think it's very relevant. It goes like this. I want to frame it this way. Um, you see, there's a little bit of a problem because, in other words, it's not sufficient to me to argue that the Torah is referring to eternal ideas because, or it's not sufficient to say, like you were saying with the Mer Nevuchim, that like whatever the Torah is about will always guide us in the future. Because nonetheless, I have a question: why was the Torah designed to be specifically directly relevant in a direct way for the people to whom it was given?
What do you for the people for the people that it was given?
Yeah, in other words, the Moreh Nevuchim, let's say what you're saying with the Moreh Nevuchim, right? If you say the Moreh Nevuchim will be rewritten, but whoever rewrites the Moreh Nevuchim is going to be rooted in the Moreh Nevuchim, and I agree with you, that's true. So that will make that the Moreh Nevuchim has a certain eternity
Right.
to it, but it's only a certain eternity. Because we'll still say, look, the Moreh Nevuchim was written because the Rambam had his beliefs about philosophy and science, and it was written
Right.
for those beliefs.
Right.
So it does point to a certain imperfection in the Moreh Nevuchim, perhaps an inevitable imperfection, because the Rambam wasn't Moshe Rabbeinu and he wasn't God.
No,
But
no,
it's an
not an
imperfection.
imperfection. No, no. Oh, it's dangerous though, because I would say like this. Oh, no, what do you mean? If it's all in the Mar Nevuchim, so what do you need a new Mar Nevuchim? Just read the old one and do the cheshbon yourself. But the answer is, I'm not smart enough to do the cheshbon myself. I need help.
Mhm.
So it's not reflecting a problem in the Mar Nevuchim. It's reflecting a problem in me.
So
If you
we're
say
always going to need the Moreh
no,
Nevuchim.
that's what happened with the Torah Shabbal Peh. The Torah
So you're saying,
Shabbat should have been enough.
yeah, okay,
What do you
but
mean?
let's say, what
You
about
want
the
to read the Torah
mitzvah?
Shabbat and you'll figure out what to do. No, but we lost it. The Torah is not
So okay, but bring that to the
unless it
Torah.
is, unless you're saying it's bad about the Torah. It's
Well, no,
reflecting
that's what I'm
badly
asking.
about.
I'm saying, why do we eat matzah if matzah was made for people who for whom Yitzias Mitzrayim was something that was meaningful in a practical way, and for us it's not. That's my question.
Is this too from of an answer for you if I said that the Torah is like we established before, like what the Torah is doing is divine.
Hmm.
And so you can't ask a question about why a book did something one way, not the other, if you couldn't have done it better. And
No, but look, I'm asking like this. I'm asking if the Torah would give us divine symbols. If the Torah would say like this, eat herring, okay, and it would be a
right,
chayk, no reason for it. And then you'd say, look, Hashem knows what He's doing. This is an eternal symbol, and look how amazing it is. We're able to read into this mitzvah of eating herring, all sorts of reasons, different reasons in this generation, and this is so powerful. That I hear. That's fine. But the Torah clearly picked mitzvahs that do speak in a practical, relevant way for
ah,
the people it was given.
but I don't know. I don't necessarily agree. Like, wait, is this a problem? I don't think that like when we talked about freedom and when different generations spoke about freedom, every generation, like Holocaust people discussing Kairos when they were in Auschwitz, they were thinking very different than 100 years before. And now, like the amount of people when they talk about freedom, they're talking about freedom that if you even try to explain about the type of freedom people are talking about, like the healing spiritual freedom of our inner souls and inner, they would look at you like you need to see a mental
Mm-hmm.
institution.
Mm-hmm.
It's like like it's almost like comical. It's almost like there's nothing in common between my freedom and their freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, for somehow we pulled this off and throwing this onto Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
You can't even find that's the only tzara shava between the two.
Good. Okay. So then, but
Why there? I don't know, but that's the only one. It seemed to have worked.
no, that's awesome. I like that. That's great. I agree with that. My question is that doesn't that not comport with the Torah's manifest design, which is that it's speaking to people that eating matzah actually meant something very concrete. It meant, oh, we ran out of Egypt last year, or 2 years ago, or 300 years ago. We just came from Egypt, and therefore we were in a rush and we're eating matzah.
I don't know. Like I don't think we ever really took the story that seriously.
No, but that's the thing. The people who lived it did. That's my question. See, you're basically you're not being geared to
I
my
know
question.
I'm not in this case. I'm not properly understanding the
My
question. You
question
can
is, if you
also
go back
help me.
2,500
But we never
years,
did.
no, but
Yeah.
2,500 years ago they did. They're like, oh yeah, we eating
But that
matzah.
wasn't that was never important to us.
But to them it was, and the Torah was given to them, and it was clearly designed to talk to them in a very, very real way, not in an
Maybe
abstract way.
I don't know, like the Torah spoke more to us than more to people the Torah has accomplished more with people that don't remember that and that weren't them than it did with people that were them.
Okay, very good. This is my answer. Okay, you see you're getting to my answer. My answer is like this. The Gemara says, the Medrash says, things that were not revealed to Moshe were revealed to Rabbi Kiva. That's a shocking Medrash. Things that were not revealed to Moshe. So Rabbi Kiva knew more than Moshe knew. How could that even be? So I want to say it means like this. Exactly what you're saying. Rabbi Kiva was post by Yesheni. So he was basically at the time where his Jewish history ran its course, and the Jewish history rooted in Exodus from Egypt ran its course. Because we had one temple. Okay, we went to Galus Baba for 70 years, but the Nevi'im said it's going to be 70 years, so we knew we're coming right back. We came back, Abai Sheni, now it's over, destroyed, the Romans took over. We have no idea for how long the exile is going to last, which Chazal explicitly said they had no idea. So now all the old symbols lost their immediate meaning of reflecting reality. So I want to say that what the Medrash is pointing to is saying exactly what you just said, that it's when the Torah no longer speaks to a specific historical experience. That's when we can truly unlock the power of the Torah. That's when the symbols become even more powerful. So Moshe Rabbeinu only knew the Torah that was given to people to whom it made sense. So I want to say, if you went to the guy who left Mitzrayim, the guy who's eating in the desert, in the Midbar, or 10 years into, right, 40 years in the Midbar, they go to Eretz. So let's take 50 years after he sees Mitzrayim. And the guy's eating matzah, because we eat matzah on Pesach. And you tell him, what matzah stands for? Freedom from the Malach HaMaves and inner freedom. I'm like, you're crazy. You're crazy. No, you don't have. I'm eating matzah because I literally left Egypt and we rushed and they're like, no, but that stands for rushing, stands for a clean break with the Yetzer Hara. Like, no, kid, we actually left Egypt. We actually ate crackers. So it's when the Torah, this is the genius of the Torah. On the one hand, of course, when it's talking to people, it's talking to them in a very specific way. And that's what gives the symbols their power, their meaning. But the purpose of that is so that it should lose its immediacy, but yet retain the connection that it had, because we have the memory of Egypt. At least we know what matzah has to do with Egypt. Now we can already put into the matzah the modern freedom, the new ideas of freedom that are always going to be infinitely bigger than whatever we thought of till now.
Uh-huh.
So that's why I have this kind of stability and inflexibility of the Ma'aseh Mitzvah with the absolute infinite development of the idea. And that's our bringing to, you're talking about the new Jew.
Rabbi's going to tie this back to the difference between Moshe and the Nevi'im. And
no, I wasn't talking about that. No, I'm putting Moshe and the Nevi'im together. You could try to do that. I was saying for these purposes,
I'm asking. I know I'm asking if this is related, because the way it sounded like I don't remember the Torah exactly, but can it be related? And the way that the Nevi'im thought that they understood the mitzvahs, and Moshe thought that he understood the reasons for the mitzvahs. So these things, are they tied at all?
I'm not sure how. They may be, but I don't see how.
I thought when I came out of when Rabbi was speaking about that, I thought wow, it's a certain higher level to know that you don't understand. Not to think
that's
that
Moshe
thought they understand, to know that you don't understand. I'm trying to think, is it related to here now? Where somehow the matzah, why matzah? How is matzah magical? Matzah did the divine over 2,000 years. Matzah did the divine. How did matzah do the divine? I don't know. How did payas do the divine? I don't know, because the this and that, and I don't even know what you're talking about.
Because the priest wants I don't
even know what you're talking about.
Exactly,
what?
Right.
I'm not there.
Right.
So it took on its new meaning.
Right.
So it's almost like it shows, let's say that no, the power is not in the original reason. The power is in the actual action.
Yes, but
the action devoid, because it's magic. It's
but I think
the original
reason. I think the original reason was necessary for the development of the symbol. I think matzah became a symbol because they left Mitzrayim.
Yeah, but no, lamaisa. How should I be relating to my mitzvahs?
Right.
And is what Rabbi was saying, knowing that I don't know the reason, like Moshe Rabbeinu, would he do a mitzvah like matzah and say, the power of this is more than just the story, because the story is not relevant anymore. There's something that I don't understand here, that for some reason the matzah and the payas pulled this off.
That's very interesting. I see where you're going with this. No, I think it's a very interesting idea.
Is that where Rabbi was Rabbi thinking to tie that in there?
Not at all. Not at all. No, let me just articulate what you're saying. I would say like this. I think what you're saying is that now that we realize that like the symbol of a mitzvah can never be exhausted, so now there's really two ways to do a mitzvah. You can take it and say, here's what I know about it. Here's what I know about freedom. And like think about that when you eat the matzah. Or you could say, look, whatever I know about freedom, there's an infinite amount that I don't know. And
Right.
therefore the mitzvah is just magic. It's min
It's
hashamayim.
mad.
Okay,
Oh,
that's
okay.
cool. Yeah, that's very interesting.
Wait, but this is necessary because I didn't know. Like when I only heard the last shir, I thought that we would just be walking around doing mitzvahs that it's magic,
Mm,
and that we wouldn't need ideas to be tied
mm,
in anymore. Like I just
right.
thought, okay, I do mitzvahs. Why I do it because like we would all become briskers.
Right. And now you're saying now it's magic, but it's
Now,
magic because idea is
now
infinitely
it's
magical.
geschmack. It's like it's the reason, the original reason we don't know, but the new
Well, we remember.
reason.
No, no, 1 second. We remember enough to give it some form. The original reason meaning what? Like
The
matzah
original
because of
that
Mitzrayim.
the matzah is because of left Mitzrayim.
Yeah.
That's not so important to me.
Right, right, right. It's enough to
It's
give it
not
its
important
basic
to
form.
me.
Right.
But a reason for this is very important to me. Meaning like an idea that this action will represent is so important to me. That's the most important thing to me. So it's not
Right.
that I'm just like doing it like a brisker.
Right.
I'm doing it like wow, like the idea is even more. And when you lose the original, the idea now has become more. There's more room for the idea, like Rabbi
Yeah.
said.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
like
Now
more
you want to
idea
go back
that
to
can come in
Gemara.
now because you're
What?
not tied down to that original.
Exactly, exactly. And you could be, I mean, you have to go to that Gemara that you're referencing. The Chum say that Yitzhak time will be the tuffle and Shimach the Iker. It may mean that we'll still need that tuffle, but to anchor the Iker is always going to be more than the tuffle. The Iker is endless.
The Iker is gonna be.
The Gemara says Yitzhak time will still be
Yeah,
tuffle.
but wait. Where did Rebbe get that from? Like that we need new mitzvahs. Like I thought, like maybe we just wouldn't need
No,
mitzvahs.
we don't. We don't. No, I'm not saying we need
Oh,
new
we wouldn't need
mitzvahs.
new mitzvahs. We just wouldn't
No,
need
that's
them.
the point. That's the genius of the Torah. We don't need new
Ah.
mitzvahs.
So
On
what
the
the Iker
contrary,
means, like we have to start tying kibbutz galus into the matzah.
yes. On the contrary, a new mitzvah would defeat the purpose, you see? Because the mitzvahs are designed for historical circumstances. But in
Mm.
order for, and that's a problem. It's a limitation on the mitzvah because then the mitzvah is never going to really be able to be taken for the infinite until the historical circumstances run their course. And then we still hold on to the mitzvah like Rabbi Kiva did. That's
Mhm.
when we could really unlock the power of the mitzvah. If we're going to make a new mitzvah, because like, oh, now we have kibbutz gali, so let's make a new mitzvah. So, okay, you're starting again. We don't want to start again. We
Mhm.
want to make progress. The reason why we make progress is because we take the original Torah, which was given to a
Wow.
limited people, and we say now the Torah stands as a symbol for infinite good, for infinite
Wow.
freedom, including
You know
the
what I'm
freedom of
thinking
Shiva
about? How
of the
like
US Mashiach.
the frommest people who we don't veer a right or a left from what any word of the Torah to keep it so, but they're so flexible when they're meeting the goyim at work and they say, "Why don't you eat shellfish?" To say some like I don't even know what they say. Like I was always like floored. Like when someone asked me why I don't eat shellfish, like I've lost. Like I didn't even know what to say. I froze. But like some people were so quick to say like we eat it because like those are like they're the dirty animals and we're clean people. I don't know. Like
Okay.
and like whatever. And the Rebbeim have always had that. They've always been okay with that. Like whatever works, just say
Mm,
whatever works.
mm.
And like that, I don't know. It's kind of interesting that there was
Yeah, I
always
mean,
that.
no, we have it in the
Good.
Rambam. The Rambam gives reasons. Bavram said they weren't meant to be their reasons; they were just reasons. That
Right.
there's clear in the Gemara. The Gemara says that the reasons for mitzvahs are going to be revealed in the future, which I take to mean that basically something very
We're
interesting about
gonna
Torah.
make them. We're
Yeah,
gonna make them.
Hashem left it up to us.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he could have written the reasons in the Torah. No, that's not the point.
And
It's
this is
something
the
that we
Rabbanan,
participate
mitzvahs
in.
the Rabbanan too, or only mitzvahs the Raisa?
I don't know. I
It
don't know.
has
It's
to be
probably
only one.
Dabbanans too.
The only why?
Why
How?
not?
Because they didn't have halahavdil. Because you say it by about Moshe Rabbeinu, and you're gonna say it about
I don't know. It gets what you're saying
whoever
before.
started Kitnius.
Maybe. I don't know. It's an interesting question. Probably not. Doesn't seem like that. Yeah. Doesn't seem like that. It seems like those are shugs, generally speaking. But then, I mean, a true new mitzvah like Chanukah or Mikra Megillah or Natil Sedayim, these new mitzvahs. Sometimes those are like the most symbolic and beautiful, I find. I don't know. Okay, this is a
So
different question.
so Lamaisa, just what can we? I don't know how much time we have left, but
Yeah, let's
Lamaisa,
wrap it up.
how do we so how can I do it without being silly? Like, can I mean Yom Ha'atzmaut tomorrow. So I could wrap my tefillin Zecher Yom Ha'atzmaut.
Hmm.
or zecher l'kibbutz galuyos? Why not?
I think so. Yeah, I think you can. You wrap your tefillin and you say it says in the tefillin, um, Yetzias Mitzrayim is in the tefillin, and you say those. You think about the halachas of tefillin, and you have to put it in the exactly right spot, and it has to be written exactly the right words, and the word Mitzrayim has to be written in the kosher way, and that's because it's so important that we get freed from Shivud Malchus. That's exactly what we're saying. Yeah.
Well,
When is
I'm celebrating that we were, or at least I was. I don't know.
I know something that we were in 1948, whatever.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and
Go
the
ahead.
and the tafel, because maybe we pass in like the chacham. I can do a tafel if it's Yisrael time.
But you need it, right? But you need it.
Why I need the tafel?
You need it because otherwise you would not anchor the freedom of Yom Ha'atzmaut properly.
Why? I don't know why.
Because that's what we just started in the beginning. That
Why?
that
But yeah, but maybe
feels
Ben Zayim is right. I don't know. Maybe Ben Zayim is right. What do we need?
because we want to anchor the
When can I let
ideals
go? I don't know. When can I let go?
because we always need religious inflexibility to anchor the really important stuff, or else they're
Ah,
just
so
going to
Rebbe's saying
dissipate.
the Yetzias Mitzrayim is going to stay forever.
Yeah, I'm going with the Chum. It's going to stay forever, and it's going to stay forever. But it's going to become a more powerful symbol than it's ever been
Uh-huh.
because now it's going to stand
It
for
doesn't need
infinite
to stay
freedom.
forever. We'll see what happens.
What do you mean we'll
This
see
is
what
like the
happens?
kind of machlek, because this is the kind of machlekes where it's not where we don't paskin. We see right the way that Ben Zeman says is, oh, like, are we going to remember? Or are we not going to remember? We'll see.
No,
We'll see if we remember or not. Like
listen.
he's saying, oh, if you're in a jam, if you got hit by this animal and then the animal, okay, I'm gonna let me get hit by both, and I'll tell you if I remember or not. What is the
That's a problem, the way you framed it. In other words,
why?
well, because first of all, you have Rambams that insist mitzvahs will be the same and nothing's going to change. And you're basically saying, well, let's wait and see.
Well,
What we,
wait, but the Rambam says that we have to paskin like we paskin like Chachamim when they paskin for the future,
yes,
something
the Rambam
that has
Paskins
no
about the
halach,
future.
like that
About
has
this
no.
very fact, the Rambam Paskins about the future. We'll always do mitzvahs, even in the future. Yeah.
The Rambam says we paskin like
Yeah. And also, no,
uh,
also you have to chop something. Our conversation we're having right now is basically should we do Benzei Melech. They're not arguing about a future. They're arguing about what's right. And the Chachamim then said it's right to hold on to them. And I understand that. So I'm now on the Chacham's camp. And if most people think like me, then we'll still do the mitzvahs. So we're having this conversation itself as part
but
of
if
the.
you do how like Ben Zoma, you wouldn't have mitzvahs. You wouldn't even
That's
have them.
my extreme Benzema. Like you pointed out
Uh-huh.
before, I'm not sure how much Benzema meant. Did he mean just Zecher? But I'm
Uh-huh.
saying the extreme idea of like, why do we care about Yitzhak's time? Don't we want up mitzvahs that talk to us same way the mitzvahs that were given to the Adar of the mitzvahs to talk to them? If you go like that, then we'll have new
Uh-huh.
mitzvahs.
Okay, well, according to me, I was wrong, but according to me, also, there's no work for me to do. I just have to be. I'm doing the mitzvahs, and I'll tell you how I feel. I feel a little Mitzrayim. I feel more kibbutz galus. I don't know.
Right,
But
right. But I think
According to Rebbe, there's a lot big avodah to make now kibbutz galus your ikr. Like, how
could
is
be.
that? That's so
Well,
unnatural
no. But listen. But in terms of we were talking about
for
before the
some people.
divide, the divide between the new Jew and the old Jew, I think there's a lot of bridging we can do. Which is if you tell the new Jew, everything you talk about, I have a mitzvah and it involves very specific things, and I'll learn the halachas with you, and I'll show you how doing this is going to anchor the ideas that you just came up with in the last 100 years. Like, oh, cool, maybe I should do that.
Can we come full circle? But before the call started, Yom Ha'atzmaut's tomorrow, and
Yeah.
like my family, it's my father says Hallel, my grandfather said Hallel, and I went to some yeshivas, did some dinner, whatever I do. But I was discussing it, and I pointed out that Rav Shigar has an idea that he didn't say he was a very big Zionist. He said don't say Hallel and Yom Ha'atzmaut because you're supposed to celebrate it in a national holiday in a national way. It's not a religious holiday, it's a national holiday. So celebrate in a secular way by going to the barbecue with your family and like celebrate it like that.
Mhm,
And I felt very much like that. I always felt weird saying
mhm,
Hallel and Yom Ha'atzmaut. Like
mhm,
in with my yeshiva. They were
mhm,
saying it, and I always felt like squirming in my chair, like a little weird. Like
mhm.
I really, and I didn't, but I was a Zionist. Like when I read Rav Shigar, I was like, oh, geschmack. Like that's why, because I shouldn't be davening today, like in this minute. So but now Rabbi wants to change my mind and
No,
say
I
that
don't
no,
actually. I don't because
why?
because the point is like this. The point is the religion hasn't changed. The religion is still to say Hallel on Rosh Chodesh. and to eat matzah on Pesach
Yeah. Yeah.
and to put tefillin on. The
Yeah.
mitzvah, the Tama mitzvah now is to connect Yom Ha'atzmaut, let's say, with the tefillin or with Halal Amish
Of
Chodesh.
course, of course. But first of all, what I said was reflective of this concept where I wanted to divorce the two in my mind. I
Right.
didn't want
Okay.
to bring
So
Yom
that, right.
Ha'atzmaut into my shul. I didn't want it into my shachris. I want
Right.
my shachris to be my shachris and my Yom Ha'atzmaut to be on the beach, on the barbecue.
Right.
That was that's what it was representing. And Rabbi's saying, no, you should pull in these notions into your mitzvahs. Okay, you're not doing the
Well, I don't know. I would
but
say the day you spend on the beach for Yom Ha'atzmaut, you then have to connect to Laman Tizkar in your tefillin somehow. That's the thing. In other
yeah,
words, the nationalism could also be connected to a mitzvah, but the direct celebration of nationalism is not the mitzvah. It's that this nationalism has its place, and then that itself has to be connected to the Torah.
yeah, yeah, but what? Elam, but what?
No, I don't know. I hear this
Does
point.
Rabbi hear what I was saying before? I thought that there was no room in the mitzvahs, in the tefillin for this stuff.
Right, for
But
sure.
I thought that there was room. I am religious about celebrating Yom Ha'atzmaut nationally. Like
Right,
I never had a Havamina about that. I do celebrate it. I'm
right,
ecstatic about it. But I wasn't going to bring it in. But Rabbi's saying, no, bring it in a little bit.
right. But bring it in. I think, like you were saying with Aryeh Kaplan, bringing in secular study, science to Torah. In other words, he didn't create a new mitzvah. He didn't say halal when he
No,
studied
no,
theory of
bring it in.
relativity.
Like when I put in my tefillin, it just I should say, I should think in my mind, not only am I is it Zecher L'tzias Mitzrayim, but it's also Zecher Kibbutz Golios.
100%. 100. You should do that.
That's
And
a
by the
big
way, I think we
chiddush.
do that, and I think we do that naturally. I think there's if you believe that there's a kibbutz galus
Yeah.
happening today, we sort of think about it
Yeah,
when
I
we
think
talk
there's
about
probably
it.
like 10 people on the planet that probably do that. But the
Okay, start a new minig. Basically, we'll start a new
no,
minig.
no, wait, but okay, but the hal is aside, but those that do say the Hallel,
Yeah,
the Rabbanut, they have sugyas about it. So whether they're right or wrong, they approached it as they approach any other halachic shaila. So like
yeah.
it's a religious thing that they came out with, like whether they're
Mhm.
right or wrong. It was the
Okay,
that's what I felt wrong like with the
right.
fact that they were like halachic, like being halachic with
No, and I
that.
think that's
Yeah,
still a
whatever.
valid criticism. Like you don't have to halachize something; it's a reality. But every reality
Mhm.
that's important, it's a reality that you
Yeah,
got
but
where you
they
got
have
the state of
shuvas
Israel.
that why the Chassam Sofer said
No, no, I
Hallel in
get
his
that.
town
I
because an
get
ace
that.
happened on
Of
his town in this
course.
day. So
There's
we
good
say this.
arguments. Of course,
What
there are
it's a
good
sugya.
arguments. No, of course, there are good arguments. One second. Let's be clear. I think there are three things. One is a good basic halachic argument that it's a tremendous nace and therefore we have to thank Hashem, Chasam Sofer, etc. Fine. That's a basic halachic argument. That's
Yeah.
not a Zionist argument. That's just like, hello, this is not less chashuv than some city having some miracle happening
I don't
today.
know. I don't know. I don't even like using the word Zionist. We don't have to use it. But that's what the Rabbanut wrote shuvas along
Right.
those lines. And now people that subscribe to the
Yes.
psak of the Rabbanut say such words on say Hallel because
What I
of
meant
this.
was right. What I meant was you don't have to have a nationalist interests to recognize the halachic. You could be a brisker and like have not changed your mindset, a kihuzeh about or what a Jew is for the last 500 years, and nonetheless you think we should say halal because analyzing the sources, like it's a miracle, like whatever. Then you have a person
Right.
who's used the word Zionist to mean say someone who cares about nationalist thinking and is recognized like the nation should be saying halal, and that's where I think Rav Shagar's criticism comes. He's like the nation halal, like the nation's very important, but like what does that have to do with halal? That I
Wait,
hear.
wait, wait. What did the yeah, but like why and we do not have to go here at all.
Yeah.
But why when the Jews left Mitzrayim, they sing Hallel because they were so happy they felt
Oh, but
like they were
that's okay. So
redeemed
that's where
by
my point.
Hashem. So
Right.
now I this is a new this is on nine on Hey or
Right.
for some reason, whatever. But this is we all are doing it. So
Right, but that's where my point comes in that you're being like Benzema in my good idealized Benzema, which may be different. You're
yeah.
basically saying turn the clock back. Like you want to do Yitzhak's time again? No, no, no. I don't want to get back to that whole paradigm of like we're responding to the current events with a mitzvah. I want to use the
Yeah,
old
but
mitzvahs.
yeah, the problem is though where we're gonna draw the line because I was like, okay, Darai says I understand this is beautiful, and Hanukkah Purim, okay, it's beautiful too. I'm here, but then like what? Like Gebratz and Kitnius, okay, so what? What the Hal Yom Ha'atzmaut that is what 100 years shy of that on a 2,000 year spectrum. So okay,
Okay,
so where are you
all right.
drawing your line
Anyways,
of
I hear.
what's considered
Let's end
new?
this. I got you. I hear there's a lot to talk about, but there's a little bit not our Indian. I want to end this. I wanted to say I was say a new minig for your matzmot. You should put on let's say Rabbi Tam's tefillin or the Rambam's tefillin because like you want to be machmer on
No, you
tefillin.
should do the same exact thing that you did the day before. Just
Okay, that's
Deeper.
already, like you said, that's already hard that's only 10 people could get that level. But what if you say like, okay, let's do an extra chumrah in the old mitzvah. Like that I hear. You're not making a new mitzvah.
Fine.
You want to draw attention to the tefillin more than every day because there's especially you have to make sure you make that connection between tefillin and kibbutz goliath. Okay, Zev,
Yeah.
it's tongue in cheek.
Put on tefillin on Yom Ha'atzmaut
I'm saying
is the
go to shul
maskana. The
5 minutes early.
maskana.
No,
What?
go to shul 5 minutes early. Put on tefillin 5 minutes early and say the parsha. Say kaddish v'yikaviyacha. Every day you might not say that. Make sure to say that because I
Oh,
make sure you get the idea of tefillin.
uh-huh.
Let's say that.
It's
Okay,
good.
well,
You have a little extra time. Yeah, some people they stuck davening at home Yom Ha'atzmaut because they're so uncomfortable to go where they got to go. So,
very good. But seriously
oh,
speaking, I
yeah.
mean this. I actually think that this was a very interesting breakthrough. Maybe I think you are a little bit more skeptical of it, or you don't really evaluate the same way
What?
I am. No, this
What?
breakthrough in in bridging the divide between those who are focused on religion and those who are focused on something else. And maybe there's
Well, we could dig
yes,
deeper there.
yeah, like Yom
What?
Ha'atzmaut, and like we're national, we're a nation, we're free, and like so therefore we're gonna put on tefillin because like freedom is awesome. No, but seriously, did anyone ever give such a schmooze?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
go to
yeah.
a
It's non.
secular
Yeah,
Yom
yeah, yeah. It's
Ha'atzmaut
nonstop.
shul,
No, no, it's nonstop in the Dati Lumi world. It's nonstop. That's all they talk about.
but like in this kind of bridging, yeah,
Yeah,
like okay,
yeah, yeah.
then, all
And
right,
it's good for them. It's the if it's you know why? Because they really wanted it. They meant so well, and they're the ones that wanted what should have been wanted. So they ended up with some awkward halal situation. But the flip side is every Yontif, Pesach, Sukkot, Shavuos, and every single one in between, they properly
mm,
put modern Zionist notions and current events
right,
into the mitzvahs
right,
of
right,
old in a
right,
frum way,
right,
and
right,
they're
right.
really good at it.
Interesting, right, right. That's true.
But
Okay,
anyways,
so let's leave it at that.
gosh, I'm
I think we
happy.
got
Okay,
somewhere.
yeah.
All right, let's stop the